Hello, everyone, and greetings once again from Radio Wasteland Records. It is time for the return of our weekly check into some of the new releases headed to an independent record store near you. And with this week's upcoming releases, we're stressing the independence of independent record stores. You know what I mean there. Just the tip of the iceberg, though, as it is, where the list is way too big for us to get into in a short video. So if you'd like to see the full list of everything coming out for this upcoming week, all you need to do is head over to our website at radiowastelandrecords.com. From there, click on the upcoming releases link right there on the front page, and you'll see a PDF with all of the stuff coming out for this upcoming week. But as we mentioned, let's dive straight into the new releases, the reissues, and some other cool stuff for the 4th of July, 2025. Yep, we're celebrating our independence on this upcoming one. For those of you local, by the way, let me just get this out there. The store will be open on Friday, July 4th for the new releases. So make sure you, again, check out our website for the hours and such on there. But again, here we are. The new release is scheduled for Friday, the 4th of July, 2025. And this is a new-ish release. We're going to count it as such because it's the WuTang Clan. This is Enter the WuTang 36 Chambers, live from New York, State of Mind tour at the Climate Pledge Arena. That's a healthy title there, though. They are really leaning into this, too. It says it's made with recycled vinyl. This environmentally conscious 140-gram LP pressing was recorded live at WuTang Clan's legendary New York State of Mind tour in 2023 at the Climate Pledge Arena, celebrating 50 years of hip-hop. This includes live performances from their seminal early album, Enter the WuTang, 36 Chambers, and much more. And again, they're stressing in the description that each disc is made with recycled, regrind vinyl, and because of that, each disc will be a unique color and one of a kind. They did that with their Record Store Day cover, so now they're doing it with the vinyl on this one. We really kind of want to stress that recycled vinyl because there's some discussion out there that the sound quality of that is not quite what it could be. I don't know. I don't want to get into that. That's a discussion for our podcast sometime down the line, but they're making, like I said, they're making it very clear in the descriptions that this one is made of recycled vinyl. So once more, it is Enter the WuTang 36 Chambers live from the New York State of Mind tour at Climate Pledge Arena, recorded back in 2023. $26 is the suggested list price for this one. A couple of different versions from a new one from the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. That's a cool band name and a cool album cover. Carpe Diem Moon Man is the name of this. I really have nothing in the description to tell you other than one version is, we're being told, is on clear vinyl with red and black splatter, and the other version is on blue vinyl with red and white splatter. Each of those versions, by the way, coming in at a suggested list price of $35. Doesn't say that one of them is the standard or the other is the indie exclusive, just looks like two different color variations. Carpe Diem Moon Man, that's the new one from the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. Finally, on the new release side of things, we can now hear this from the Ozark Mountain Daredevils. This is an interesting one. Again, counting this in the new releases, even though technically speaking it's not new. The description says that the Ozark Mountain Daredevils now hear this single LP on clear vinyl. This is an indie exclusive version. The now part of the Ozark Mountain Daredevils and Now Hear This album has finally arrived, according to our description. In 1990, a decade and a half after their two huge radio hits, If You Want to Go to Heaven and Jackie Blue, the Ozark Mountain Daredevils made another in a string of great albums that would only be available at the time on cassette tape and available only through the merch table of their live shows. Now, this was reissued on CD at some point down the line, but now we are getting a vinyl version of this. Now Hear This from the Ozark Mountain Daredevils. Again, kind of interesting that they only sold this on cassette and from merch tables at their live shows back in the 90s. But here we are. $34 is the suggested list price on this. And again, that's coming on clear vinyl from the Ozark Mountain Daredevils. Onward now to the reissues scheduled for July 4th, 2025. We've got a big anniversary from Elektra Records coming up with a whole slate of releases. We'll get to those in just a second. But first, we're diving into a whole catalog chunk of reissues from The Doors. All of these are part of this recent push from Warner Brothers to re-release a lot of their classic albums on high-fidelity vinyl. So the price point is going to be a little bit higher on this, but if the previous ones like from ZZ Top and Black Sabbath are any indication, these things will sound great. Now, the descriptions for each of these Doors reissues say that these were cut from the original stereo master tapes by Kevin Gray and pressed on 180-gram heavyweight vinyl at Optimal. They each come with a heavyweight, glossy gatefold jacket. Many of them will feature rare photos and detailed liner notes by Doors archivists, and they've got some info about the Rhino High Fidelity series that is ongoing. The descriptions go on to say that these high-end limited edition vinyl reissues of classic albums represent the pinnacle of sound and packaging. To ensure consistent sonic excellence, Kevin Gray will cut lacquers for all Rhino Hi-Fi releases, and Optimal will press the 180-gram vinyl records, so it's clear throughout each and every one of these. Goes on to say that the releases boast a high-quality glossy covers and tip-on jackets, an old-school aesthetic that evokes the golden age of vinyl. I do have one point to make with these Doors ones, but here we are with a series of 6 Doors reissues. This is pretty much the catalog. I know there's a few others, but pretty much the core of the Doors catalog. The Doors self-titled first up, followed by Strange Days, then Waiting for the Sun on there, Soft Parade, the Morrison Hotel on there, and finally, L.A. Woman. Each one of these reissues coming in at a suggested retail price of $40, which again is kind of consistent through this Rhino campaign. Now, they also mentioned that the covers are kind of those Stoughton tip-on jacket styles. I don't know what that means for L.A. Woman, because if you recall, originally this was a die-cut cover with a colored inner sleeve and a window through there that had that yellow look to it. There is no indication on the description that this will recreate that original cover, but I can't see them not doing it. Again, I can't confirm for sure that LA Woman will have that original cover, but they would be silly not to do that. So again, each and every one of these Doors releases, that 180-gram high-fidelity vinyl, cut from the original masters, each one of them coming in at a suggested retail of $40. And now we just have to cross our fingers and see that each one of them comes out actually on the 4th of July. Usually with group releases like this, I'm hesitant to say that everything's going to show up on time. But hey, there's a first time for everything, so we can cross our fingers and hope. Lots of great stuff out there for you Doors fans, and these things will sound fantastic. On the rest of the reissue front for the 4th of July, we've got a couple of very interesting ones kicking us off. From Giles, and Frip. Yes, this is Robert Fripp from King Crimson. And back in 1967, he applied for a, quote, singing organist role advertised by brothers Peter and Michael Giles, despite having no experience as either a singer or an organist. What resulted was some true prog rock and experimental rock interestingness from Frip, Giles, and Giles. Now, the first of these is Cheerful Insanity of Giles, and Frip. This is a 200-gram reissue of that album. By the way, if you ever find an OG, that could be worth a little bit of money. Side note, we've got an OJ here at the store. So the description goes on to say that this is the first standalone release of songs from the Giles, and Frip 1968 debut album. And now they're saying with spoken word selections removed. So it's just the music. This new 2025 remastering by David Singleton includes 6 bonus tracks. And for this updated 2025 re-release, the somewhat dated spoken word and humorous interludes again have been removed, which has allowed for the rest of the songs to flow as an album, revealing its charming and sometimes whimsical example of the late British psychedelic music movement. So Giles, and Frip, the cheerful insanity of Giles, and Frip, the songs on 200-gram vinyl, $34 is the suggested list price there. And then we have selections from the Brondesbury tapes, also on 200-gram vinyl. This was the 1968 demo home recordings from the group of the same name. This has also been newly remastered by David Singleton. The description says it is a must-have for collectors of King Crimson, with some early indication of the band's sound and repertoire. As mentioned, this one is also on 200-gram vinyl, $34, also the suggested list price there. Here's a reissue from the Vandergraph Generator. World Record is the title of this. Digitally remastered, according to our description. This one was originally released in October of 1976, and it was the last album to be recorded by the classic lineup of Vandergraph. This one coming in at a suggested list price of $37. Next up in the slate of reissues is a whole bunch of stuff celebrating the Elektra Records 75th anniversary. Originally, according to the Elektra Records website, many of these were scheduled for release on July 4th, but now it looks, according to our distributors at least, as if these are going to be spread out throughout the month of July, with the bulk of them coming on July 4th. So we'll cover again the highlights of these, especially the ones coming out on the 4th, but again, I'll steer you toward our website to see the full list of all of these other Elektra 75 releases. But the highlights of these include this one from Tim Buckley, and it's a reissue of Happy Sad. This one coming in at a suggested list price of $32. Then we have Rapture from Anita Baker. This one coming in at $25 on the suggested list price. Also included in the Electra 75 are some very cool, I'll call them punk, but even into the alternative side of things from that Electra strain that we had enjoyed for all those years. The Stooges, their self-titled one, coming in at a suggested list price of $40, followed up by Television and Adventure, again, part of this Electra 75th anniversary series. This one is a high-fidelity release, by the way. $40 is the suggested list price there, followed up by This Is What You Want. This is what you get from Public Image Limited. $25 is the suggested list price there. Says it's on colored vinyl, but does not say exactly what color that is. Sorry about that. I don't have that info. Next up is one from the Afghan Wigs, Gentlemen. This one also on colored vinyl, yellow, according to our description, $25, the suggested list price there. And then finally, Third Eye Blind and their self-titled release, Third Eye Blind. This one coming on purple vinyl, and it is a brick and mortar exclusive, but still part of that Electra 75th anniversary. $37 is the suggested list price for that one. Again, there are a few more upcoming from that Electra 75th anniversary celebration. Some coming on the week of the 4th, some throughout the weeks after. I did see a couple of Cars ones that look to be on that high fidelity vinyl that we've been talking about as well. So keep an eye on our show from that point on. We'll cover them as we get closer to the release dates for those other ones. You can, again, make sure you're subscribed so you see these when we bring them out. So that is a quick check of some of the new releases headed our way for the 4th of July, 2025. If you're local and you'd like us to pre-order something that we've talked about or something from the list, just contact us here at the store. And if you want to see that full list once again, head over to our website at radiowastelandrecords.com. From there, you can click on the link that says upcoming releases to see everything for this upcoming week's releases. We'll update that list as the weeks go on so you can see the rest of those the rest of the Electra 75th stuff coming up throughout the month of July. So until next week, this is Jim from Radio Wasteland. As always, thank you for being here. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, do all the stuff that YouTube likes you to do to help the channel out. We'll talk to you folks next week. Thanks.